All right, so we are going to create our first piece for the Soma cube. So hopefully everybody now has created their document and named it Soma cube. And then also don't forget to share it with me. This is how I'm going to be grading your work. So make sure it is shared. You only have to share it once per project because all of your pieces are going to be in the same file. So I have a few of them that I made for two other videos. You can see them already down at the bottom. So as long as you share this one file or this one document with me, all your pieces are going to be automatically shared as you go. So on yours, you're obviously not going to have the two pieces, but you will have Part Studio 1. What we're going to do here is create our first piece. Okay. So this is what our first piece is going to look like. So I kind of took this and rotated a little bit because when we do work drawings later on, it'll just make your life a little bit easier if it's oriented this way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is first create our sketch. So what our sketch is going to do is give us a place where we can draw what our first view is going to be, really. So we're going to click on the front plane. So this is the front plane right here. We have front, top, and right. So if I highlight there, we have top, right, front. But we're going to be using front for pretty much this entire project. So front, you can see now that we have sketch 1. We have this rectangle that shows up showing us where our sketch is oriented. So in this program, it doesn't tilt it automatically. A lot of programs do tilt it, but for some reason it doesn't. So we're going to have to tilt it ourselves. So front on this little cube, click on it, and now we have it nice and flat against our screen. So when we're drawing squares and circles and rectangles and all the other shapes, it's going to look how you would assume it to be on a nice piece of paper. So for this one, we're only going to be using squares, but at least they're not going to be at a funny angle. So what I'm going to do now is use my corner rectangle tool. So there's two different rectangle tools that we have, the corner and center point. For this project, the corner rectangle is going to be the most useful. So looking at my little diagram that I made here, we're going to have 3 rectangles. And it's okay if you don't have the proper dimensions quite yet. Right now we're just kind of placing them in. Yes, I know mine looks horrible. I'll dimension it in a second. So I have my 3 sadly placed rectangles. So now I need to add in my dimensions. So each of these are going to be 1 inch. All right, before I place in this last one, I just want you to notice that we have all of these blue lines that turn black. The black lines let us know that all our dimensions are, or all our lines are not going to move. So I have this one blue line. Typically when people see that one blue line left, they're like, oh, I need to click on that line and then move my cursor over to put the dimension. As you can see, that dimension is already placed in. So what you actually have to do is click on the blue line and then click across from it. Then you can place that dimension in. Okay, so all of these are 1 inch. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our view here in case you need to pause for a second so you can see all the dimensions. Okay. So from here, what I'm going to do is there's actually 2 ways you can do this. You can either click on the green check mark or go straight to extrude. But before I even do that, what I like to do is tip my view to the corner, so the corner of the cube. So you can see how now it's tilted, so I can see the other planes. So I'm going to click on extrude. So for mine, it happened to extrude all 3 of my cubes, but for yours, it might extrude 1, it might extrude none of them. If that happens, all you're going to have to do is click on each one individually, and then they will extrude also. So extruding is just taking your sketch and kind of like stretching it into a 3D shape. So now we have to check to make sure our depth is set properly. So our depth for this one is 1 inch. That happens to be the default. So a lot of programs, the default is, well, 1 inch. And for us, for our project, that happens to work out. So we can click on the green check mark. Okay, so for this one, let's see our part. Yep, our part is done. So we can rename it. So how to rename your individual pieces, if you look here, it says Part Studio 1. If we right click, we have a pop-up. So we're going to go to rename, and then we're going to rename it to Piece 1V. Okay, because that is the name of this first piece. Okay, so after piece 1, you're going to move on to piece 2. So you can either work on your own or you can go to the next video. All right, good luck.